I wonder if you could do a kind of balance sheet for us of how the Iranians are doing in terms of their efforts to establish their hegemony in the region. They seem to be, notwithstanding all your efforts, more ensconced in Yemen. They seem to be well on their way to establishing a pro-Iranian government in Iraq. In Syria, despite all the efforts, they seem to be well entrenched there as well. And then, of course, in Lebanon with Hezbollah. So I wonder how you see it from Riyadh, whether the efforts to contain and pressure them are actually working yet.
I have no doubt that they're working and that they will continue to work. In Yemen, they're losing. In Iraq, their position is not what it was a few years ago. In Syria, over the long run, they will lose. And in Lebanon, Hezbollah is going to change. No doubt about it. The Iranians are going to face tremendous pressure, economic pressure, and political pressure as a consequence of the sanctions that are being placed on them. We see their currency dropping incredibly. We see inflation up tremendously. We see budget deficits. We see an inability to sell oil. And we see rising discontent inside Iran. That's not a nice picture. If you go beyond the Middle East, the Iranian position in Africa is a skeleton of what it was 3 or 4 years ago. Iran is isolated in the Islamic world. Their position in places like Bangladesh and Malaysia and Indonesia, fraction of what it was 3 years ago. And so I think the pressures are tightening. In the Middle East, like I said, you have the 4 spots. We're dealing with it. And it took them 35 years or so to entrench themselves. We will work on pushing them back. And I have no doubt that in the end, we will succeed. The Iranian position is not sustainable. You have 2 visions for the Middle East. You have a vision of light and progress and modernity and moderation and innovation and taking care of your people. And you have a vision of darkness, which is about sectarianism and terrorism and murder and domination. And that's the Iranian model. Will not prevail over the long run. History shows us that that model is doomed to failure. And I have no doubt the same will happen in Iran, and I hope that Iran can have a government that is responsible, that is a member of the community of nations in good standing, so that the Iranian people, who have a great history and a great past, can lead normal lives.
On the short term, immediate term, how do you expect Iran to react to the pressures by the administration, particularly in Yemen and Syria? Some people are afraid of revenge. Some people are afraid that they're not going to curb back their expansionism, but in fact, use other methods. And what conversation are you having with the Russians in terms of using their influence with the Iranians to pull back in Syria and in Yemen in particular? Do you have any leverage with the Russians?
The Iranians are already doing all the things you're saying. 197 ballistic missiles launched at Saudi Arabia, manufactured in Iran, operated by Hezbollah. What else can you do more than this? Trying to destabilize countries. Every day people are captured trying to send explosives and weapons into Bahrain. They're trying to recruit citizens in order to commit terrorist attacks. They're threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, what else can the Iranians do? And if we're going to base our policy based on fear of what the Iranians may or may not do, they're already doing all the bad stuff, and they have been for 35 years, and they've been relentless. And if anything, it's accelerated, not slowed down. And especially after the signing of the JCPOA. I haven't read about one road, one hospital, one school that Iran built since they had access to billions of dollars. But I have seen missiles go to the Houthis, explosives smuggled into Bahrain, and money going to fund the war in Syria at the expense of the Iranian people. So the issue is, Iran is responsible for the position it's in. Iran is the world's chief sponsor of terrorism. Iran is the one that is trying to dominate the region. Iran is the one that is sending its Quds forces and revolutionary guards into other countries to destabilize them. And that has to stop. That has to stop. Now, with regard to Russia, we have conversations with Russia. We don't talk to people about talking to the Iranians. Our view is Iran has no role in the Arab world. Our position is that Iran has no role in the Arab world other than to get out. And with Russia, our conversations are about the general situation in the region, and it's about moving Syria towards a political process. It's about our common interests in terms of energy. It's about the peace process. It's about fighting extremism and terrorism. It's about the unacceptability of interfering in the affairs of other countries. So we have a good dialogue with Russia on this. And I think that in the long run in Syria, the Iranian position is not tenable. And so we're working in that direction.